author, author, author. Let's talk about the word author. As a part of speech, author is a noun that refers to the person who creates written content, such as books, articles, poems, or even software code. In common usage, you'll often hear this term when someone is talking about the creator of a book or a piece of writing. For example, J.K. Rowling is the author of the Harry Potter series. Here, we know that J.K. Rowling wrote those famous books. As for special notes, keep in mind that the word author can also be used more broadly to describe someone who creates something, even if it's not written content. So you might hear phrases like, the author of this amazing app. But in general, when people say author, they're usually talking about writers or books. At a literary awards ceremony, the host proudly announced, "And now, please join me in congratulating our esteemed guest of honor, the renowned author of The Time Traveler's Dilemma, who has been awarded this year's Best Fiction Novel Award." In this formal usage, the word author is used to describe a well-established and respected writer, conveying a sense of dignity and prestige. On the other hand, while chatting with friends at a coffee shop, Sarah mentioned that she was reading a new novel by her favorite author, who had written several best-selling romance novels in the past few years. In this casual conversation usage, the word author is used to describe someone who has written books or stories that are popular and engaging. Meanwhile, in an academic setting, Professor Thompson introduced her lecture on literary theory by saying, "In today's discussion, we will analyze the work of a prominent author, Toni Morrison, whose use of magical realism in Beloved challenged traditional notions of narrative structure." In this business or academic usage, the word author is used to describe someone who has written books or essays that are relevant and influential in a specific field. So you want to know about this person who writes books and stories? Okay, a writer is someone who creates written content, like novels, articles, poems, or even scripts for movies and plays. They use their imagination and writing skills to craft engaging stories that readers can enjoy. One of the main characteristics of a writer is that they're good at using language in a way that's clear, concise, and interesting. Writers might also be experts in a particular subject, like history or science, and write about it for others who want to learn. Similar concepts to this person might include journalists, who write news articles, bloggers, who write about their personal experiences online, or even songwriters, who create lyrics for music. As for what they do, writers write. They use their writing skills to convey ideas, tell stories, and share knowledge with others. Bond, bond, bond. So, let's talk about the word bond. The part of speech for bond is primarily a noun, but it can also be used as a verb. As a noun, bond typically refers to a strong and lasting connection or relationship between two people or things, such as an emotional bond between friends or a physical bond that holds something together. In finance, a bond can also refer to a type of investment where you lend money to an organization at a fixed interest rate. As a verb, bond means to form a strong and lasting connection with someone or something, like when people bond over shared experiences or activities. One special note about the usage of bond is that it's often used in idiomatic expressions, such as break a bond, which means to end a close relationship. So be careful not to confuse this usage with the literal meaning. Let's take a look at how the word bond can be used in different contexts. In formal situations, such as during a wedding ceremony, someone might say, "The love and commitment that Emily and Ryan share will serve as a lifelong bond between them." Here, the context is a romantic relationship, where the phrase conveys a deep emotional connection. In casual conversations with friends or family, you could use the word bond to describe a shared experience. For example, someone might say, "I really bonded with my classmates on our road trip last summer. We had some amazing moments that I'll never forget." In this context, the shared activity of traveling together created a sense of camaraderie and connection among the group. In business or academic settings, you might use the word bond to describe a financial investment or a scientific concept. For instance, someone working in finance might say, "The company is looking to issue new bonds to raise capital for its expansion plans." In this context, the term refers to a type of security that represents a debt obligation, where investors provide funds to the company with an expectation of returns. So, you want to know what that special connection between people is? It's an emotional tie that connects two people in a way that makes them feel close and connected, often forming a deep sense of understanding and shared experience. It's like having a strong foundation for your relationships, where you can be yourself without fear of judgment and trust each other completely. This connection helps to build a sense of unity and shared identity between people, making it easier to communicate and work together towards common goals. In fact, some people use words like connection, attachment, or tie to describe this feeling, which is all about sharing experiences, values, and emotions with someone else. Brief. 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 Let's talk about the word brief. So, the part of speech for brief is an adjective, which means it modifies or describes a noun. In common usage, brief usually refers to something that is short in duration, length, or scope, like a brief conversation or a brief summary. It can also describe someone's appearance as being short and not tall, like a brief person. But what's interesting about brief is that it's often used in formal or professional contexts, like in business meetings or in law courts, where it means something is concise and to the point, like a brief statement or a brief argument. This can sometimes be confusing for non-native speakers, so just remember that in these situations, brief typically implies a sense of being clear and direct. In a job interview, a hiring manager might say, "I'll keep your resume on file and we can discuss it in more detail at our next meeting. But let me give you a brief overview of what this company is looking for in a candidate." This example uses the word brief to convey a sense of conciseness or shortness. The context is formal as it's a job interview. A friend texting you about plans might say, "Hey, I've got a brief window of free time before work tomorrow. Can we grab coffee for 20 minutes? In this example, the word brief is used to convey that the available time is short. The context is casual as it's a text message between friends. In an academic article, a researcher might write, "The study found that brief periods of physical activity improved cognitive function in older adults." Here, the word brief is used to describe a short duration or period. The context is formal and academic as it's written in a research paper. So you're trying to figure out what brief means? Don't worry, I'm here to help. Essentially, when we say something is brief, we mean that it's short and concise, not too long or complicated. Imagine a quick summary of an idea or a story. That's basically what brief means. It's like the opposite of something that's lengthy or rambling, right? Now, you might be thinking of other words that mean similar things, like short, concise, or to the point. That's totally correct. And when we use the word brief in a sentence, we usually mean it as an adjective to describe something, like a brief conversation or a brief explanation. So, in short, brief is all about keeping things short and sweet.